I'm gonna actually transition to introducing our last panel before closing remarks. And it is gonna be Jessica, Lee, and Cynthia. And so I'll just do a little quick intro of Jessica and Cynthia. Jessica is a co-chair for the Collegiate Team HBV chapters, which works with Join Jade and Stanford's Asian Liver Center to raise awareness on the dangers and effects of hepatitis B. And Cynthia is also involved in Team HBV as the public relations advisor. And so they'll be discussing not only their involvement in Team HBV, but also their personal endeavors and careers. Yep, please take it away.
Hi, can you guys hear me? Hi, so I guess I'll just do like a really quick introduction about myself. Hi, my name is Jessica. I'm one of the co-chairs this year for Team HBV. I went to UC Irvine for undergrad, and currently I'm a master's student at Keck Grad Institute, which is one of the Pomona colleges. Yeah, I don't know what else there is. Yeah.
It's okay. You
Thank
can
you.
do a quick intro, and then I'll kind of ask like sections of questions, and you can answer those. But yeah, Cynthia can do a quick intro.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Cynthia. I'm on the board for Team HB as the PR. And I go to UCLA and I'm under the MCDB, which is Molecular Cell Development Bio major, and I'm happy to be here.
Well, thank you so much for both being here. So first, in the field of STEM that you're in, why and how did you become interested in that? Because I know you guys don't study the same things. Science is very broad. So why you particularly got interested in the thing that you currently study right now?
So for me, not so like I guess I'll go like way back because for me, like my journey through STEM kind of goes like it starts from like an early age for me. So for me, I used science as a way to kind of bridge communication barriers. So growing up with bilingual, I'm Korean American. I grew up with my grandma who couldn't speak English very well, and then I couldn't speak Korean very well, and she also had dementia and Alzheimer's, and I kind of found science as a way to kind of explain, I guess, more complex things that I, as like a child, couldn't really comprehend at the time. So from there, I really kind of saw science as a deeper way to explain things and really kind of bridge gaps between different, I guess like discrepancies, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's kind of how I fell in love with science. And then from there, I really saw medicine as, an opportunity to even further bridge the gap, because that's really kind of what it's all about, like, is relationships. So I really fell in love with that. And yeah, so right now I'm actually studying for the MCAT. So if you guys have any questions about the MCAT, feel free to ask away. So yeah, right now I'm in grad school preparing to go to medical school. And yeah, it's kind of a background on how I got into science and STEM.
For me personally, it would also stem back to my childhood. And I was in a position where I felt at a loss because a lot of my family members were experiencing medical conditions, and I felt the doctors didn't give much empathy towards me and my family, and it was a lot of struggle. And I saw there was this gap in the medical field where people didn't acknowledge the family members as people, but rather as cases. So I wanted to bridge that gap by going into the medical field. And I also saw that when I was researching how to become a physician and all those things, I became really interested in pathology and things like that. So through that research, I also became impassioned by the subject, and also I want to bridge that gap. So that's how I became interested in the medical field.
Thank you. I think another thing is that might interest the viewers is important activities you did. So you guys can talk about how you guys got involved in Team HBV, and not only that, but also other activities, communities you've joined, clubs, like etc. of what you did in order to study at the college that you do, or kind of fuel your interest in your field.
So growing up for me, I was very athletic. I was actually a competitive figure skater for I think a little over like 12 years. I did synchronized figure skating and I did or ice dancing. And actually, my senior year of high school, I competed internationally and represented America. That was really special. So that's kind of my background in high school. And then I really wanted to stay engaged with the community, like the figure skating community. So I made it a priority when I was in college and even now in grad school to volunteer with an organization. It used to be Best Buddies. I taught figure skating to individuals with disabilities, and that was a really special way to connect with the people in my community and just the figure skating community in general. And then at UC Irvine, I majored in bio, just general biology. One of the biggest, I guess, if things that I was involved in at UC Irvine was I did research at the stem cell lab. So that kind of bridged the gap between my desire to understand more and actually, seeing it in a research setting. That was really special. I unfortunately did not get published, but right now at Keck Grad Institute, I'm actually one of the founding members of our free clinic, and that's really exciting. I don't really know where it's going to go with, COVID and everything. We'll see. But we're actually working with the dean of the new Keck Medical School, not the one at USC, but Keck Grad Institute School of Medicine. We're working with them to get it integrated into the curriculum, and so that's really exciting and special. And yeah, I think those are my main involvements.
So my main involvements in high school was I was in a bunch of variety of sports. I was in diving, track, and I kept with those. But eventually I dropped it because I had too many things on my plate, and I didn't want to not be able to commit myself fully to the other activities I was in. I was also in a I can't say it, sorry, the rehabilitation hospital near my where I live, and I worked as a nursing volunteer there. Even though I didn't plan to pursue nursing, I just knew that through that program I'd be able to also explore if I wanted to become in nursing, but eventually I didn't choose that. But it was a really great experience to interact with patients through that. And I also formed a cooking club because I really love cooking. And I think it's really important to be involved in activities you actually like rather than doing what you hear everyone else doing. And I think it's really important to enjoy yourself and make strides in your progress rather than just being stagnant and joining things you don't like. And then when I joined UCLA, I joined a program called Care Extenders Internship. And there we have the opportunity to volunteer at Ronald Reagan Hospital. And I got to volunteer in a variety of different wards, such as the ER ward and the pediatrics. And I work there as a department coordinator. So I manage about 20 to 30 volunteers to work inside the pediatric department, and I train them to handle our pediatric patients. And I'm also involved in, what else? Oh, in Team HBV under the UCLA chapter and also as a board. And it's been really fun, and I really enjoy the work we've been doing there.
So I think another thing is, as you guys talk about your high school experience, do you guys have any tips on like college admission regarding trying to go into this like field of STEM? And also, Ivan has talked into the chat, are you still doing Disney on Ice? So if you could answer that question along with your question about college admission.
I was actually not on Disney on Ice. I was actually I was part of a team, a synchronized skating team in Anaheim. So I'm from San Diego, and this senior of my high school year, I drove up to Anaheim like 5 times a week to practice with this team, and then I got to compete with them. So I'm not on Disney on Ice, but I know a lot of people that are right now, so that's really cool. And yeah, I guess like tips for high schoolers, was that the question? Like tips when you're in high school?
Yeah, like college admission, and also like if you know anything about applying to direct medical programs.
Okay. I don't know too much about like the 7-year MD ones where you apply as an undergrad and you get into medical school. Was that the question? Sorry.
I think she'll continue to write in the chat about the specifics of the
Okay.
question, but while she's doing that, yeah, just talking about college admission.
Yeah. So in high school, I think, like Cynthia said, it's really easy to just kind of do things. I'm so sorry. This is going to be really cliche information, but after going through, just not even college, just like school applications for undergrad and grad school and going to be in medical school, I just want to tell you guys right now that it's so important to show your character and show your story. And I'm like truly speaking this from the heart because I'm like helping all my friends with their medical school applications right now. And the biggest piece of advice I can give in terms of applications is make like have your personally really come out like that like personal statement, and I guess like whatever application you're going to submit is like truly your story. So like whatever you do, show that you are passionate about it and like make it connect to something else, and like from there like watch your story kind of blossom, I guess, if that makes sense. Like I don't know how to explain this. It's like have everything connect with each other and have a reason for doing it, because if you have a reason for doing it, colleges and schools will see your passion, and that'll speak a lot for why you want to go to that program. And so I think that's like my biggest piece of advice. I'm so sorry, it's really cliche, but if I could go back and do it all over again, I would be really clear as to showing my passion for something instead of, I'm really accomplished in this and these are my accomplishments, these are my awards, these are my, accolades. That's not really what they want. They want to know how you think as an applicant. What would you do differently? Like pour your emotion into it, I guess. So that's like my biggest piece of advice.
Oh, and that, oh, sorry, that was her question. If either of you guys know anything about the, like what PLEMI is or like the Northwestern stuff. So like the 7-8, like dual, like med programs, if you guys know about anything in that sense.
So I'm sorry, but I don't personally know anything about the medical. Sorry, my computer muted me. But I don't know personally about those, but I know there's a lot of resources online that you can search but I'm sorry, I don't know anything about that. And then for psychology, I know a lot of people who are pre-med and a psych major, so it's definitely an option. And there's also majors called psych bio, and that's also a great option. So it has that combination of both psychology and biology. And I know a lot of people who really enjoy that. But was the question what I do in high school? Sorry, I got off track.
No, totally okay. Just when you were doing like college admissions, like essays or any of that thing of that sort, like college admissions, like do you have any tips on like that entire process, or you could specifically talk about essays and like what you wrote?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Jessica putting your personality in there because the results I saw for a lot of my friends, even though they had superb grades and their SATs was like the highest they possibly could be, they didn't get accepted to the schools they wanted because when I read their essays, it lacked a lot of that emotional depth. And it was more just, I accomplished this, and it wasn't really beneficial for them in the long run, but they still went to colleges they enjoyed. But I think for sure, put your personality in there. And I think putting quality over quantity is very important in terms of your social or your extracurricular, because a lot of people bounced around different extracurriculars, but they never settled on one. So they never got to have a story and a connection to their organization. But I was able to volunteer in this program for about 2, 3 years. So I had a lot of stories from it, and I was able to speak about my experience. And you could see that there was a lot of emotional connection. And not only that, but also I grew from that experience rather than I grabbed what the surface level that I could from that experience. So I think that's really important. Quality over
And
quantity. Yeah.
sorry. And this is just something that I kind of take like gospel with me. Like I truly, truly live by this. Like no matter what I'm applying for, like scholarships, grants, like whatever, like if you're writing a personal statement and it's supposed to be personal to you, if you can take a paragraph from your personal statement and substitute that in someone else's personal statement, that paragraph should not be in your personal statement. So that's like been a really helpful kind of step, like kind of like a study, like a tool for me to kind of always mentally engage myself whenever I'm writing anything that's like supposed to be personal. Just always having like a story, make sure it's very personal to you. So my biggest piece of advice in terms of, sorry, I don't know if this is a little off track, but when you're writing something like a story that you experience, like yes, everyone did research, yes, everyone might have done this volunteering opportunity, but what will separate you from someone else who did this exact same thing is how you felt during it, how like what your experiences were in the moment. So like if you came across a unique, person that you're working with during your volunteering hours, like what were you thinking, how did you go about that, how, like what did you do after that? So like that is what is personal to you, not the volunteering in and of itself. So that's like something really to keep in mind. Like if you can replace that with anyone else's name, that should not be there.
Well, thank you. I think, I guess personally for me, that's very good insightful advice. Yeah, I think because a lot of our people in the Zoom call and in our live YouTube, all are kind of in that concern space of like what I should write on my college app. And I think something else is why you chose the college you did, because I know some colleges like want certain things, or they're definitely like different kind of priorities. So for you guys specifically, you can talk about, Jessica, both your undergrad and graduate experience of how you kind of catered your application to your school and ultimately led you to choose that school.
Yeah, so for UC Irvine, I don't know about any other UC that does this personally, but the general bio major is tailored to fulfill every single AAMC medical school requirement. So if you're a bio major, the requirements for graduating UC Irvine as a bio major align perfectly with what AAMC requires of an applicant. So I know that at other schools, like if for some reason you're a bio major, they like physics may not be required, sociology may not be required. It's very different for each school. So especially if you go to like a private school, you will have to look into that more deeply. But at UC Irvine, if you're a bio major, you don't really have to worry about whether or not your other classes will fulfill medical school requirements, because it already is. That's a big reason why I chose UC Irvine. And also just that in and of itself just kind of speaks to how much UC Irvine prioritizes medical pre-meds, I guess. And that just kind of speaks to, the research opportunities and, the extracurriculars, volunteering and things like that. So that's what really attracted me. And, just from there, just, that there will be an academic peer support group. So I think that was also another thing that really kind of pushed me towards UC Irvine. And I think for Keck grad, where I'm at now, graduating from UC Irvine, I really wanted to enhance what I had, not just a biology degree. So the thing about my grad school is that we really emphasize the integration of science and technology, and science and the pharmaceutical side of things and the business side of things. And I think that's kind of something that even like, especially now more than ever during this pandemic, like tech is becoming more and more a part of our lives. And I think that, we as pre-meds tend to kind of, oh, that's not science, I don't need to know about that. Oh, that's not, like bio, I don't really need to know about that. Like, I feel like there's a tendency for us pre-meds to kind of stagnate into like a box of, like medicine. And that's really not the case. And I don't think that that's where the world is really headed towards. And so I think that now more than ever, the integration of science, tech, business is really, really important. So that's why I chose the school where I'm at now.
So I chose UCLA so I got accepted into I applied for 4 UCs. I think I got accepted into the 3. And so I chose UCLA because when I visited the campus, I recognized that this was something more alike to what I would want. It was a lot of activities going on. You could see there's a lot of student engagement. And I really wanted that in a college rather than being purely academic based, because you eventually get really burnt out from that and you feel so tired from just studying and sitting in your dorm. So I really needed to have that sort of break, and UCLA offered a lot of those activities that I could be a part of. And I knew that there's a lot of medical opportunities that I could be a part of. such as the Ronald Reagan is so close by, and I was able to volunteer there and get a lot of great opportunities. So a lot of it was also location based because I wanted to be near my home. And
This is actually a question specifically to Cynthia, if you know. Does UCLA allow psychology majors to take biochem classes? Do you know?
yeah, so you should be able to. And you also have to keep in mind if you're going the pre-med track, you will have to take those classes eventually. You need like a year of bio and all those things. You can search up the prereqs online, but you should be able to. And but the upper divs, you might have a little struggle because they tend to reserve that for those majors. But if you're psycho major or psycho bio major, you should probably have an easier time in integrating both the medical and the psych. So
I think one of the last few questions is what is the hardest part of studying your major? Or easiest, you could take either way. Obviously you do enjoy it, but like the hardest and easiest parts of studying your major specifically.
Gosh, I think like, the hardest part is just kind of what we all expect, obviously, the content, the material is difficult, but I think what's even harder is staying motivated. I feel like, no matter how strong your motivations are, going back to my childhood is the reason why I want to go into medicine. Like, no matter how strong that urge is, everyone has, rough days or weeks or months. But I mean, yeah, just keeping yourself motivated, having a really solid support group is like my biggest piece of advice. The hardest part for me was definitely keeping myself motivated, but my support group was really there for me, and those are the people that you lean on. And I feel like pre-meds have a tendency to kind of cage themselves in with other pre-meds, but having friends outside of your major is I think also it could be like a really big help, just like mentally. Sorry, that was a really big tangent, but the hardest part, yeah, just staying motivated. Easiest part, I think, is just always being intrigued by what you're learning. I think no matter what like class I will say, if you go to UC Irvine, it's the first 2 years are very dense. Like they're very molecular based. For me, my upper divs were the best part of undergrad. I thoroughly enjoyed all of the upper divs I took. I took a lot of neuro classes. I took a lot of immunology classes, classes where I really got to see just how great what I was learning is. And I think that kind of motivated me even more to, keep going and stay, I guess, like on track and stay engaged in what I was learning.
I would also agree the hardest part is staying motivated because especially getting harder being at home and not having your support system in person. But talking online with a lot of people definitely helps. But the easiest part is, like Jessica said, being engaged with the material. It's so amazing learning the material, and you get so enthralled with like, oh, so that's why this is what happens in my body because of this what I learned. It's honestly so rewarding to learn all these new materials, and I really enjoy doing that. So easiest thing, just learning the material. But at UCLA, I would say since I'm kind of like a bio major, there's a lot of reviews. So you always have to constantly remember your past material. So you can never just like, hey, I finished this class, throw it in my head. You always have to try to remember it and always go back on that material. So just keeping on top of your work is also very hard.
If I may add, if you guys major in bio and you're going to go the medical pre-med route, please keep your notes for the MCAT. They're so helpful. Like no Kaplan Princeton review book for the MCAT will prepare you as well as your undergrad classes did. Please keep your notes. Thank you. Just keep them.
I think the last question before we go on to the closing ceremony, just a general question about college admission again, is how much essay writing did you do in college? And also for UCI, is the MCB an impact major? Is it possible to apply if there was a bump in the AP bio test? If you know anything about that.
Um, MCB, molecular cell biology. I don't, is that a major? I don't know. Was that for UCLA?
Yes, I think he meant molecular cellular biology.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. Yeah. So the way biology works, there's general biology, which you can still major in, and then within biology, there's like sub majors within biology that you eventually concentrate in. I think your third year, your second or third year, one of those two. Is it still possible to apply if there's a bump? Um, I believe so, yes. But so you don't apply for those specialized majors when you apply to UC Irvine. You apply to UC Irvine, I believe, as just a general biology major, unless they changed it in the past couple of years. Um, and so so if you had bumps in your AP bio test, I believe it's okay to still apply. You'll just not get any credit for those college courses. I could be wrong. They might have updated it. I'm not really sure. It's been a while. Yeah. How much essay writing did I do in college? So for me, going to UCI, we just had a like 1 year writing requirement, and after that, a lot of my writing was lab writing, lab report writing, which I will say did not really help in terms of grad school, med school application writing, because you have to go from, you know, writing college apps to writing a bunch of lab reports to writing beautiful, flowy, elegant, you know, med school apps again. So that transition can kind of be hard, but I recommend reading as much as you possibly can if you have time, even in undergrad. So yeah, I guess that's it in terms of essay writing.
For my essay writing, it's quite intensive. So each quarter I would have to do probably 2 to 3 papers, but I'm going to be taking about 3 classes in my overall undergrad career. So it's a decent amount, but there's a lot of resources, like an undergraduate writing center, and they help a ton. So definitely utilize your resources when you go to college, because that's my number one tip. If you just try to put all the workload on yourself, you're not going to get anywhere. You always need help. Always reach out. No matter how good you think you're succeeding in class, you should always try to get help.
Okay, well, thank you. Oh, sorry, Jessica, you want to
Sorry,
say
no,
something?
I just wanted to add to what Cynthia had said, because I just think it's so important. I'm sorry if we're running out of time, but definitely, like, as
Okay.
pre-meds, it's so possible for, and just like STEM majors, I feel like it's so easy and it's so ingrained in the STEM majors for us to just kind of like always just focus in on ourselves and not really ask for help. And asking for help is like, oh, you're failing, oh, like, you know, shame on you. But I feel like it's so old. Come on, like, it's like, you know, people are there to support you. You really have to just get help when you need it. And every school, no matter what you see, not even UC, like any school you go to will have help centers that are there for you. The school does not want you to fail. Like, they want you to succeed. They want you to graduate. They want you to, you know, do great things. So really use those resources. And I like want to emphasize what Cynthia had said. So
Yeah, and also, sorry, really quick, do not underestimate college. I came in with a huge thing saying, I got this. Like, I succeeded in high school. I'm here now. No, you need to prepare yourself for college. Like, sorry if that sounds terrifying, but I'm giving you the true reality. You need to know that you're going to be surrounded by people with the same like caliber as you, and you have to be prepared and be willing to dedicate your time to studying and understanding material.
I'm so sorry. Can I add one more thing?
Go ahead, go ahead.
So this is specific to, I guess, what we're going through now in terms of COVID-19. And just, I know that a lot of colleges, a lot of medical schools are asking this: what have you been doing during your time off during COVID-19? How has it impacted you? What did you do differently? How has this impacted your application, your academics, your studies? I, you know, really feel like it's easy to just like, it's been hard for everyone, you know. Everyone's been working from home, everyone is, you know, studying from home, everyone's doing school from home, everyone has faced, you know, I guess, like, blocks in the road. It's life is different for everybody. So if you go into that prompt, which I can guarantee colleges will ask you, how has COVID affected you? Oh, you know, like, my school went online, oh my gosh, like, like it's so hard to focus at home. Like, it's true, yes, like it's perfectly valid, but everyone is going through that. What have you done differently? How have you used this as an opportunity? You guys are in this conference right now, this virtual conference right now. Like, this is maybe this is the future of telemedicine. Maybe this is how, I think like psychiatric visits will go. Maybe this is how, primary care visits will go. Maybe this is the future. So I think, looking at college admissions as you are not asking them to help you, you are their asset. You can help the colleges. You can be an asset to the colleges. So I think like approach that COVID question and that COVID response in that way. Be very proactive in your response, and yeah, best of luck.
Thank you so much for coming and speaking about your experience. If you guys want to get involved in the program that both Jessica and Cynthia are, Team HBV, you guys can search that up online. But once again, just wanted to say a huge thank you for coming and speaking. Hopefully you guys got a little bit more insight on what it's like to kind of do bio in college.